Joining us now in the studio is former Metropolitan Police Detective Peter Bleksley. So here's the new thing then, Peter. You and we all talk regularly about the failings of modern policing in Britain. Now they're not answering 999 calls. Where does that come from?
I don't want our police service to be a social service, which is what they've been in recent years. They've gone down that route of dealing with every kind of ill and problem and complaint and issue that people have had, and consequently they took their eye off the ball with regards to protecting the streets and making them hostile environment for criminals, and that's why we've got crime at the levels we've got, and that's why we're all a bit less safe than we used to be. But of course there are many that will disagree with me and will say, well, the police should be there to deal with other matters that are not strictly crime related. But if you ring 999 and you get through to a call handler who invariably will not be a police officer, will be a police employee, then are their actions going to be scrutinised? It would appear that they are.
Let's talk about Nottingham, of course, that guy who, I'm going to say murdered, even though he's got away with manslaughter, who stabbed 3 poor innocent people in Nottingham to death back in June, I think it was. It's emerged that he had a little track record as long as your arm, and 9 months earlier he didn't turn up at court because he was arrested for attacking a police officer, and a warrant was issued for his arrest and never followed up. He's got other incidents. One time he tried to, because he was actually a student at the university, tried to break into some poor girl's room in the campus halls, and she leapt out of her 4th floor window and broke all of her bones and had to go to hospital in terror. This guy should not have been wandering the streets.
Correct. This ghastly story, and I hope that Grace, Barnaby and Ian's families will forgive me, strikes pretty close to home because our youngest son and their mate came out of the same club as Grace and Barnaby at the same time. Blimey. But they got in a cab and sadly Grace and Barnaby walked off to their deaths. Just a horrendous story. But again, it cuts across policing the length and breadth of the country. If somebody doesn't appear at court these days and a warrant is issued for their non-appearance, then in all likelihood it goes back to a police station and gets put in a drawer. It doesn't get followed up because the police are so keen or so busy going from call to call to call to call to call. They've got key performance indicators they've got to hit, they've got targets they've got to hit, that so much is not being done thoroughly. Yeah. And if things have been done thoroughly, whether that be Barnaby, the tragic case in Cossey, or Valdo Calocane, perhaps there may have been different outcomes.
What is the solution here, then? Is it more staffing, more resources? We often hear that coming from the police force. Is it also making sure that the police aren't fighting with one hand tied behind their back because, you know, right-on political leaders have demanded that stop and search is discontinued?
Right-on political, fluffy, woke, liberal, university-educating police leaders pollute the entire top ranks of policing. That is why we are where we're at. It's why we have seen the breakdown of trust and respect between the public and the police. In many, many regards, the police turned their backs on us. Now, senior police will say that was the result of austerity. That's 14 years ago when George Osborne started all of that nonsense. And, of course, Theresa May picked it up and Cameron has blood on his hands. I get all of that. But policing's moved on. There's been an uplift in numbers, although tragically so many experienced cops have left and are leaving. We have a demoralised workforce. We have an inexperienced workforce. Policing is in crisis. Something has to be done radically, properly and now.
Yeah, I mean, what worries me about this is cops, particularly top cops, they don't seem to see trouble round the corner. I mean, I know what you say about the Norwich incident, 999, the guy say, I've got mental problems and I'm confused. So they go, oh, this is one of these social service cases. However, you got a 999 call, you better act on it, right?
Well, it will be assessed. It will be assessed by a call handler that will have had a degree of training. Now, That's very different, of course, from that call being answered by a 20-year experienced cop.
Yeah,
but
okay.
again, and you use the expression that I so often use, it's about people in policing having that ability to see round the corner, having that ability to anticipate what the worst case scenario might be and to act accordingly.
Very quick word on the Nottingham police chief, who now says, I regret not acting on that warrant for the arrest of the guy who did the 3 killings. I mean, is that the best we're going to do? I regret that. Oh, do you regret it? I bet you do.
That kind of statement is such a deep insult to the grace and the dignity that Barnaby's parents have shown, that Grace's parents have shown, that Ian's relatives have shown. It flies in the face of their dignity, their brilliance.
Look at those
and
3
their
people.
Words.
Look at those 3 people, no longer alive. Absolute tragedy. And the police have got questions to answer, as so often these days. I don't know what's going on.